प्रिय विद्यार्थियों, आज हम बात करेंगे गो एंड कैच ए फॉलिंग स्टार पोएम बाय जॉन डन। पहले के दो वीडियो में इसी पोएम के बारे में हमने बातचीत की थी। फर्स्ट वीडियो में बात की थी अबाउट द पोएट जॉन डन एंड अबाउट द पोएम। In the second video, we have talked about line to line explanation of this poem. और इस वीडियो में हम बात करेंगे, डिस्कस करेंगे पोएम को एज ए क्रिटिकल एप्रिसिएशन ऑफ द पोएम। जब हम किसी पोएम को क्रिटिकल एप्रिसिएशन करते हैं, जब आपके ये जो एग्ज़ाम में क्वेश्चन आता है 20 नंबर का, इस क्वेश्चन के हिसाब से इस वीडियो में हम डिस्कस करेंगे क्रिटिकल एप्रिसिएशन ऑफ द पोएम। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट द क्रिटिकल एप्रिसिएशन ऑफ द पोएम गो एंड कैच ए फॉलिंग स्टार बाय जॉन डन। सबसे पहले बात करेंगे थीम ऑफ द poem. The theme of the poem is women's inconstancy. The poet mentions many impossible things and says that just as these things are impossible, so also it is impossible to find a fair and faithful woman. It is equally impossible to produce a human body from the root of mandrake's plant, to tell where the past years have gone, or who cleft the devil's foot, or listen the music of mermaids song, or change human nature. So all these things are impossible. So also to find a fair and faithful woman is impossible. If a man is born with the power to see strange sights and even invisible objects, if he rides 10,000 days and nights and travel all over the world, and if he return all the wonderful things and objects, he will not be able to swear an oath that he have ever found during his travel a fair and faithful woman. If anyone finds a woman who is both fair and true, the poet says that he would go to her as if on a pilgrimage to some holy place. Such a woman would be worthy to worship. However, the poet feels that such a journey, even if it be on the next door, would meet her, but she might have been faithful at the first time, but when you met her next time, she could not be faithful to you for a long time. So the poet says that it is impossible to find a faithful, fair woman if you write 10,000 days and nights and all the world. This is the theme of the poem. John Donne is a metaphysical poet. Dr. Johnson had described the metaphysical poets in these words. The metaphysical poets were men of learning, and to show their learning was their whole endeavor. Go and Catch a Falling Star is a love poem. In this poem, there is not so much parade of learning as love expressed is far-fetched imagery. Donne is noted for his extravagant image and wit. In this light, playful, almost mischievous utterances, he expresses his great distrust of womankind through a series of exertions. He suggests that it is no more possible to find a faithful woman than it is to catch a falling star or to perform the greatest of known impossibilities. Through a series of images, the poet in this poem shows that it is impossible to find a fair and faithful woman. The poets following the Petrarchan tradition made a woman a heroine and a goddess worthy of love, admiration, and worship. But the metaphysical poets laughed at woman's fashions, weaknesses, and supposed faithlessness. Shakespeare's maxim, "Frailty, thy name is woman," was quite popular in the age of Donne. The idea of the concluding stanza is that even if perchance one comes across a woman true and fair, to see a true woman would be wonderful and one would undertake a pilgrimage for that. So, while describing these images, the poet used exaggerations. Now we will discuss the poetic beauty of this poem. The movement of the poem on both the plans of drama and meaning is completely fused. Each line contains an active and dynamic image issuing from such common verbs: go and catch a falling star, get with child a mandrake's root, teach me. But the pivot of the movement is the two chopped line, each of the monosyllabic words, with long, heavily stressed vowel sounds. Now we will discuss the dramatic element in the poem. Donne's genius was essentially dramatic. Donne uses dramatic elements like sudden beginnings, dramatic speeches, colloquial words, rhetorical devices so as to produce the interest of the reader. Almost in each line of this poem is a speech made by one character to another who is either present or imagined. In this poem, Go and Catch a Falling Star is addressed to the reader, challenging him to find an honest woman. Now we'll discuss the style of the poem. The poem is called a song. It has sweetness, lilt, and smoothness. It has a lot of arguments also. The colloquial form of the poem, the speaking voice in a real situation, deserves attention. The rhythm is speech rhythm. The rhythm changes as the argument changes. The breaking of the lines is a dramatic device that projects tension rather than irregularity. It indicates the stress that one use in a dramatic reading. Now, use of hyperbole. It is a refreshing and natural 10,000 days and nights till age snow white hairs on thee. The witty ironical revolts in the last stanza is a device commonly used by the Donne. All his journey and trouble in finding a true and fair woman would result in love's labor lost because she will be as false ere I come to two or three. So, the poet uses hyperbole to express his expressions. Light and playful mode. In this light and playful poem, the poet gives expression to his great distress for womankind. He says that it is impossible to find a faithful woman. Next, parade of knowledge. In the true spirit of a metaphysical poet, Donne draws images from a wide field of knowing, mythology, Christianity, and legendary love. This proves his arguments with a masculine gusto and youthful vivacity. So, this is a three stanza poem that is separated into sets of 9 lines. The lines follow a constant rhyme scheme conforming to the pattern of A B A B C C D D D. The lines also stick to a syllable pattern that changes with the different sets of rhyme. For example, the first 4 lines are the same with 7 syllables. The next two contain 8, then there are 2 syllable lines. Finally, the stanza ends with a 7 syllable line. This is a very unusual pattern that works best if read aloud. The fact that Donne titled this poem Go and Song makes it clear that it has meant to be read or sung. Throughout the poem, Donne employs a light and sometimes humorous tone. He is annoyed by the general theme of the poem, the inconstancy of women, but seems to have come to terms with it. While this piece does not feature the characteristics of metaphysical conceit found in Donne's other works, there is interesting comparison presented between the stanzas. He compares the impossibility of something like catching a falling star, while a clear exaggeration it is appears to be speaker's own true belief that he will never come upon a woman who will treat him fairly and not run off with someone else. So, this is a beautiful poem by John Donne. We have discussed the whole poem in 3 videos. Hope you enjoyed this poem and understood this poem beautifully.